Uh, what's your name and what is it that you do?
My name is Jeff Noah, and I'm the recovery team leader for Sullivan County Anti-Drug Coalition.
All right. So what is it that you do specifically there?
I oversee and supervise just about all of our intervention grant programs. So our Justice Recovery Services program, which is a jail-based recovery services. Also oversee our pretrial grant team, which kind of helps people before they end up in court, getting them help for recovery. Also supervise the harm reduction aspect of our ROPES program, which deals with all of the naloxone distribution trainings, all of that kind of stuff. We used to have a SCORT team, which was an overdose response team, and because we lost our funding, we're trying now to make adjustments to where we might see a rebirth of that program seen by the Leave Behind program, where it would be actual real time. First responders on scene of an overdose would have our contact information along with the naloxone kits and would be able to ask, and if they want to reach out right then and there, we could get the information and either meet them on scene or set up an appointment within the next 12 hours.
That's great.
And try to get them into help.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And probably, boots on the ground and then having that immediate contact
Yeah.
seems like it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I know from my experience, it was like if you give me 30 minutes, like, well, this OD
Yeah.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah. 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 A lot of times we have the commitment to meet and do an intake or interview and find out, and if it's a couple of days later,
Oh yeah,
they've had a chance to come out of it, and now they're like, "No, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was an accident," or "No, I really don't have a problem.
I
I'm
know
good."
I almost died, but who doesn't?
Right.
Yeah. So that's you do a lot of supervision of the recovery, like on the boots on the ground services with the Sullivan County Anti-Drug Coalition, which is amazing and needed, especially today's era and time. What is it? So you all partner with Recovery Resources, and so what does that look like? Just overall that partnership.
Recovery Resources probably ends up being one of our top referral sources. We have it set up to where there's a good communication to where if, say for instance, someone's in jail, they can go on the box or the kiosk and see all these different applications that they can fill out for help for free. And we're pretty good at exchanging that information. So if somebody actually applies for Recovery Resources, men or women, even though it's only a men's program, a lot of times we'll get that forward onto us, so we'll have a name that we can check up on. But I would say the biggest part of our partnership is when we've gone in, especially with people in the court systems, and they're looking to maybe get out of jail to do a treatment or a recovery plan that we'll help put together. Stable, safe, secure, accountable housing is probably one of the keystones of our plans. And Recovery Resources, in our opinion, just provides the best recovery housing in our area. So to be able to take someone who's wanting help and to be able to know that we can maybe get them placed in Recovery Resources when they're ready, maybe after inpatient treatment or whatever, and then to be able to have that continued contact with them the whole time that they're in the house. We can see them at least monthly, if not weekly, to be able to keep our relationship growing and hear how they're struggling and where they're succeeding. I can't think of a better program where they get to go into a house where a lot of these people feel like they have no one, or they've never been a part of, let's put it that way. Or their group is part of the reason that they're where they're at. Everybody's kind of following. But to come into an entire house or a community of all these houses and to feel like they've been accepted and that they're a real brother. And then we get to come in behind that as just other people in recovery and kind of build on that new thought process. It's valuable.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
It's one would almost call it an intangible in some form or fashion. The support, the mentoring, the coaching, the support, security, the building of the foundation in that way. Because a lot of times, at the surface, we see that the meaning, what we call like the meaningful or the, the landmark resources to give people, which you spoke about was the housing, but the connection and contact with you, somebody on staff, them walking through them with that continuously, months on end, years up to end, and seeing their face constantly, it makes it something tangible and real for them. And if they do like to follow, and it's easy to do, we set them up in a position to where that's all they have to do to be successful. Well, there's more to it, but overall follow, and that's what a lot of people are doing. How beneficial is it, you feel like, for general organizations such as SCAD and Recovery Resources, but working together in that way, or finding some common ground to be able to work? Because a lot of times it's a business, even if it's a nonprofit, and there's positioning and things of that nature. But in your experience, what does that look like?
I could be totally off base on this, but my time doing this kind of work, it appears to me as though underneath the surface there's actually a spirit of competition between different agencies. It's almost like you can say, oh, well, we're all in it together, we're all a part of the same team, but sometimes there doesn't seem to be the communication between each other. Accusations can sometimes get made, or somebody just feels like favoritism is shown. I really would love to be able to see it to where everybody feels like we're all a part of the same team and actually work together. I don't want to throw anybody under a bus, so I won't name names, but I hear a phrase a lot of times, and maybe it's just a different philosophy that I have, but if a person or an individual is working with one agency, for them to be told that you can work with us, but you cannot get help from any other agency because of a duplication of services, when there may be certain things that agency does well, but other things that they don't do as well, or maybe even at all, and another agency could. Helping as much as we can to cover everything, to me, is what would be the best
Absolutely,
outcome.
Absolutely. Somewhere along the way, people can get lost in the numbers or the data points, the analytics, or just come from a background that is driven that way, more business back end oriented. And I feel like you got to have that for whatever reason, but sometimes, I'd say a lot of times, in working in a field like this, the whole reason you're doing it, of course, can be lost sometimes. It seems like, but so I align with you. I wish we could exist in a world, or at least come close to it, or model ourselves what we think it would look like to be, working together in that way. And that's what I think SCAD is, one of the first true and authentic partnerships Recovery Resources had and continues and maintains. So I'm with you. I love it in that way. I love that people can find the support and security. Being incarcerated, so a lot of times it's a place that can't be accessed. What do you think are the best, maybe some of the best characteristics that the partnership exemplifies for the people we serve?
From what I see with Recovery Resources and how they've grown, because I saw them from their very first house. I can still remember going to that very first open house. But now I think it's around 10 houses. I still see the same compassion and authentic love, but accountability with caring. And I feel treated that way as a partner as well. When I call and talk to whoever at Recovery Resources about a client and a situation that's going on, whether it is someone who has been discharged for not following the rules or not being in compliance, or they've decided to leave on their own, there's always been this feeling of, well, this is one of ours, not yours or mine. It's we've been working with this person together. I feel a part of. I've always felt included in whatever events has been scheduled or whatever's going on in the community. It's not telling secrets. It's not that kind of stuff. It's not, oh, well, did you hear what so and so did? Or it's not that kind of stuff. It's being able to be there to celebrate the victories. There for a while, it felt like a lot of the people in Recovery Resources were still SCAD clients, especially in the beginning. Oh, we benefited from that tremendously. It was like, well, there are some other houses, but here's this new set of houses, and I really like their program. So, you tell me, how many clients do you want? Because I could send them, I could fill a house like that, you know. And it kind of grew like that. Now it's at the point where Recovery Resources has built the name for good reasons that it's harder and harder and harder to get people in because there's just not room sometimes, you know. So as far as the characteristic between us, between the agencies, it feels like a team. I feel like a real partner. And I've never served on the board. It's not about that. I just feel like we are checked on. We're asked regularly, is there anything we can do to help you? And I try to do that in return. I feel invited to things. I feel a part of. And I sense the real caring and compassion that you guys have for your clients. And it's like, I feel the same way. It's not about a paycheck or a rent check. It's about the individual. It's about how well are they doing in life? How well are they getting prepared? And sometimes they get out, they stumble. I love the fact that they're at least open. Recovery Resources is at least open to saying, can we help again?
Absolutely.
Maybe, maybe not, depending on the circumstances, you know, and how it was left or what's going on with them there. But so many of our clients have gone down that road, and I've talked to them, and in counseling, saying, just call them and ask. If they're not going to do it, they'll tell you. But you may be surprised. And I mean, I have taken clients that have been that close to death, where they were in the program, left, relapsed, and was that close to death, and finally had the courage to make a phone call. And now I get to see them back, and they're killing it again. They're doing the best that they ever have been.
It's amazing.
Ah,
You all do good work.
well,
I think SCAD does great work too. I know you personally outside of this. So what is it that you all have y'all got cooking on the horizon?
well, probably the biggest thing that we're trying to get going is this new. It's not new in this area of the state, but the Leave Behind program. So the basic idea of it is that if EMS, firefighter, police officer, whoever is on scene at an overdose, and I've even had them give them our number on their way to jail. But the ideal thing would be, all right, they're not being arrested, but they are refusing medical help. The question would be posed, would you like to talk to somebody about maybe getting some help with alcohol or drugs? And then right there in real time reach out to us. They would have a naloxone kit with information for us in it as well. But to be able to have a first responder call us on the phone and say, here, and hand the phone over to us.
Nice.
And hopefully right then and there, give me 15 minutes to throw my coat on and I'm on my way, kind of thing. That's going to be built from the ground up. There's a little bit of foundation built, but to be able to explain it to all the because that's a big community, all the first responders.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to have them be on board. So we're going to have to build relationships, and then we're going to have to build staff for it. It's going to take a little while, but that's probably the newest big thing. Probably the program that we see the most clients that we serve right now is our JRS program, the Justice Recovery Services. And right now we've currently got about 75 active clients. The numbers are much larger than that of, total, but really active, those that we're working with, not only in jail but out of jail. Just in that program alone, and then you've got probably another 25 to 30 in our pretrial program. So being able to provide them the actual peer support and then get them to the services, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And our staff is limited, but we've got some of the best staff, some of the people with the best hearts that have a passion for this, and they do. I'm just saying, I think one of our staff members at times can do what two other staff members in other places can do.
It's good to have those.
I've seen it, and they can put on a different hat and go. They can either go into the courtroom, or they can go into the jail, or they can go into the gutter, and wherever it's needed, they're there to help and to get this put on. And over the course of the last, I would say, year and a half, it has been cool to see people like all of the judges, a lot of the attorneys, even some of the district attorneys, the pretrial officers, all see that and buy into the place where they are some of our biggest supporters, especially when it came to asking for funding for the program.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't see
When
that.
I didn't feel that way at first. When I first started there, and they said, "Oh, okay, you're doing the escort team." Oh, and then it wasn't but a few months later they said, "Well, would you do this jail ministry or the jail team too?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right, let's go with that." And I started seeing all this just stonewall of all the defense attorneys, and I can remember talking with Craig, and it's like, "Craig, what do we?" He was like, "Well, let's just go talk to him." And so he and I loaded up in the car one day and went to the public defender's office and talked to one of their forensic social workers, and found out, some information that explained it. And it was almost like we had to start over from scratch, even with the defense attorneys, you would think. And it slowly, over time, to where now, even the attorneys, I had a phone call today from one of the attorneys in town saying, "I think this would be a good candidate for you. Would you go see him in the jail?" So when the judges are on the bench saying, "I'm going to refer you to SCAD," and they're going to come and talk to you, and then the defense attorneys and the pretrials, it's taken a long time. It's been a lot of work, but it really is paying off.
I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
And we couldn't do it without, transportation is huge. Employment is huge. But to be able to put someone into an environment that we know is safe, that doesn't mean that everybody in there is going to stay clean. I'm not saying that. But to know the attitude and atmosphere and the culture in recovery resources, to know that this is actually going to give them their best shot of succeeding, not just surviving, but succeeding and thriving. I don't know what the magic number is, but I tell you what, I tell our clients all the time, if you give me anywhere from 9 months to a year at Recovery Resources, you will not recognize the man in the mirror when you look back. And I see it happen time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you all do great work. Thank you for doing that
Well,
work.
thank you.
Thank you for doing this interview, sharing this stuff
Yeah.
with us.
I appreciate you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.